Before we talk about the order of calculations, let's look at this simple calculation. Ask yourself, what is the answer to the equation 4 plus 3 times 2? Is the answer 14 or is it 10? If you answered 10, you're correct. If you answered 14, let's have a look and see why this is not the correct result. I'm just going to move this text box out of the way, and here is this exact same formula typed into Excel, and you can see that Excel is giving us the answer 10. The reason that the answer is 10 and not 14 is that Excel is going to perform this multiplication before it performs the addition. So rather than saying 4 plus 3 is 7 times 2 is 14, Excel is actually saying 3 by 2 is 6 plus 4 is 10. The reason for this is a mathematical order of precedence, or a rule telling us what order mathematical calculations should be made in. At school you might have learnt this as BODMAS or BOMDAS, which is a prompt to remind you that brackets are done first of all, and then of, half of, quarter of, 10% of are performed next, and then division and multiplication in the order in which they appear in the formula, and finally addition and subtraction. With this rule, BODMAS or BOMDAS, in mind, let's go back to our calculation. Brackets are done first, we don't have any brackets, and then of, there are no ofs, but we do have a multiplication, so we're going to perform the multiplication 3 by 2, that gives us 6. There are no divisions, but there is an addition. 6 plus 4 is 10. If we wanted this particular calculation to give the result 14, then we would need to force Excel to do the addition before it did the multiplication, and we can do that by putting it in brackets, because brackets have to be done before anything else. And you can see that when I add the brackets to this formula, we're forcing the answer to be 14. We're telling Excel it has to do the thing in the brackets first, add 4 and 3 to make 7, and then it can do the multiplication. The answer is 14. This is a rough overview of what is called the order of precedence, and it's going to explain most of the situations that you're likely to encounter as you work in Excel. But this order of precedence issue also highlights a potential problem you may encounter in Excel. Always check that the results of your calculations are what you expect them to be when you're designing a workbook. It might help you to perform a calculation on a calculator alongside Excel to test to see that your worksheet is giving you the answers that you expect to see. And if the answers aren't what you expect, check to see what the problem is. It's really tempting to think that everything should be correct simply because you're using Excel. However much you accept that Excel will always return a correct result, don't discount the possibility that the formula itself may not be correct.